Hello, I'd love to formally welcome you to the Australian Institute of Company Directors on the traditional land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. On behalf of Genesis IT Recruitment, a very big welcome to Zoe Ogden, Senior Management Consultant at IBM, and Zach Walker, Talent Acquisition Manager at Industry & Co. Guys, thanks so much for coming along today. As we've kind of preluded to before, we certainly appreciate your support, not only for us, but for the industry in general. It was a vision of ours to create a real conversation around the impacts of the COVID-19 lockdowns and how the flow-on effect had flown into organisations. Starting earlier this year and still ongoing, we have a lot of clients calling us and asking us directly for insight and really just asking, what is everyone else doing? Obviously, we answer as best and as most sensitively as we can. There have been multiple mass surveys from larger research agencies and huge recruitment companies, but what we felt was lacking was the real impact, the authenticity, the smaller sample, and the day-to-day organic changes and challenges that our niche market was living. So how do we visualise the future and recognise that the changes we need to make to ensure 2021 is not just the recovery, but as we've also spoken about prior, the road to rejuvenation? Can we predict the impacts and changes we should implement? There's absolutely no doubt that there is a shift in the thought process around workforce planning. Employers and individuals are now making decisions as to what is right or wrong for them based on factors that 12 months ago were not around. So to do this, let's start by commenting on our data from our industry survey sample and just take comment from you guys. And as we've just spoken about before, to just really get a conversation and a sharing conversation going from industry respected leaders. It would be great to hear some reflections of the impact of this historic moment in time, and then we can move into our predictions and thoughts moving forward. So we can kick off with one particular result from our survey, which has been the most talked about and commented on, and this is the fact that 27.5% of the people we surveyed had their role duties expanded due to the pandemic. A lot of them felt that this was a positive thing for them professionally. I tend to fall into that category, although quite a few people highlighted the negative effects this has had on people. How has your company managed this process of delegation, if they've had to? And what are some of your thoughts on how this has affected your team? We might kick off with you, Zoe.
Sure. So thank you. It's great to be here. I think from sort of my organisation, the IT consulting world, the work hasn't changed, but how we do the work has changed. Okay. And so with a move to almost fully work from home, that's meant that a lot of our consultants have had to pick up how they organise and network with large customer groups and stay in touch with their teams. In terms of like workload increase though for our people, it's mostly been people who are caring for kids or relatives at home, and being able to juggle that homeschooling with the life of being a consultant and being available for their clients. So that's been how do we as IBM support them to do flexible working, and how do we have the conversations with our clients to also support their flexible working.
Great, and how did it go for you?
I think it's gone really well.
Yeah.
We've actually got more people wanting to work from home permanently, or people that have been living in Sydney so they're close to work that now have the opportunity to move further out to perhaps be with family or to have a tree change. And we've now got the accepted culture that working from home full time is completely normal.
That's fantastic. That's why all the real estate prices are going up and all these fabulous small sea towns as well. What about you, Zach? Did you feel those impacts of that extra workload, or what's your...
So look, I think, similar story to yourself. I mean, we've been in remote working environment for a long time. It's been a policy of ours. It hasn't been fully enforced in a sense, or it hasn't been something that you can do full time, but we've recently changed that to being a fully remote force if we want it to be. Office has been open since July. You know, we've got still probably 10% of people coming in, so it's quite low. What we find obviously is a lot of people, particularly if they don't have families and stuff, they're starting to get a little bit lonely at home. So we've obviously set up the office to make sure that they've got a place to come or a safe space to come. And what we're also seeing is the workload hasn't really increased. I mean, it's actually, we're more productive from home. And the reason being is probably, the commute, which is something that people don't have to do anymore. Traveling an hour and a half each way to work, you know, now you've got that hour and a half at home. Even myself, I'll get up early, I go to the gym, and then I start my work at 7 o'clock when normally I'd get in at 9, right? So you're actually kind of doing it to yourself in a way, but I think you're able to do much more meaningful work in that time as well.
Yeah, great.
So I wouldn't say it's I'd say it's a positive rather than a negative, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any impacts. A lot of our clients that we work with, I mean, they've been impacted in many ways, but that's again, what we do is go and consult around these things.
Right.
So helping them move to remote working and going through that process. But yeah, I haven't seen a drop at all, to be honest.
Great.
We haven't had a lot of people leaving or anything like that. We've been very transparent about how we describe what's going on in the business, and even to things like financials and all these kinds of stuff. We've been very, very transparent and just playing it with a straight bat.
Yeah, I think that was important during this time, wasn't it, for
Absolutely.
everyone to show their cards. And so you had an interesting example as well around how you were able to help other companies work from home.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A number of our large banking clients have had increased demand on their services to process loan forgiveness or delays of loan payments. So one of the things that we were able to do as their partner was to come in and supplement their workforce. So we're able to automate some of those processes and get the feedback back to clients straight away. But we also actually deployed some of our IBM people into those clients to work alongside them to get through that bulk of processing. So interesting, not only are we helping clients embrace the culture of working from home, but we're also looking at how do we use machine learning and automation to scale people's teams in high demand times.
Great, okay. And so you touched on it, Zach, but I'm going to jump ahead to another work from home question, because it certainly has been obviously the biggest change that we've all felt. Work from home is certainly a hot topic with employers and employees. In our sample survey, we found that the ability to work from home with no end date trumped over company stability, increased salary, and career progression in what was important to candidates when looking forward to their new role. Do you think that work from home is a permanent shift, or do you think it's a novelty that will fade as time goes on?
Yeah, this is an interesting point, because again, mirroring what you're saying and looking at some of our clients that are typically enterprise clients, suits, basically haven't really transitioned to a remote workforce. We've done this for a long time, and we've actually shifted some of their teams to being remote to work with our people, and they've seen that actually productivity does go up, which I mentioned before. But in terms of actual working from home, again, it's something that we're going to do ongoing. We've seen that the benefits of it. We've seen that people can spend more time with the family. They can go to pick their kids up from school. These are things that people actually want. Our culture is all about family. In our business, we're not a startup, but we're not an enterprise either. So in that mid-market, definitely very family oriented. And I think the other kind of thing I'm seeing is our clients are saying, we've done all this work in a 5-month period, which is 5 years worth of work. Why would it not work moving forward, right? The rise of digital transformation, like you said, the banks are changing how they're engaging their customers. The Australian Stock Exchange has changed completely. They're using Twitter and socials and other things now more so than ever before. And they're just seeing that customers are starting to engage. So I think gone are the days of people going into branches to go get their loans done, or gone are the days of people needing to see someone face to face to actually get something done. But on the flip side of that, you're getting people that are talking about Zoom fatigue, right? So how long is that going to last, right?
That's right. And I know from a management perspective, some employers might be thinking, well, how am I going to make sure that my team's engaged and they're interacting, and are they going to lose that kind of relationship stuff?
Yeah, so some of the stuff we've done there, I think in terms of our company is more engaging and doing one-to-ones more regularly. So not just from your low-level peers, but also all the way up to senior leadership, which I'm talking with my MD, CEO, and also I'm talking with my engineers and my peers. So it's interesting that prior to this you wouldn't do that. But now you've got a bit more love from the top end all the way down to the bottom.
So that might have increased that connection, perhaps.
I think so, yeah. So you're getting, or you're reaching out to people just because you want to chat, right? And you're picking up the phone more often than you would before. And I think that's an interesting shift that I've seen with our company.
Okay. Great. So moving on to workforce planning now, and we're told that 37.5%, we're told from our survey that 37.5% of companies are still on a hiring freeze. Is that still true for your organisation, and what does that mean for people who perhaps have taken on this extra responsibility moving forward? is it unrealistic to expect people to continue with these responsibilities when we're told that 37.5% of people are still experiencing a pay decrease? Threw a lot of stats at you then, but very much to the point of, you know, is your company still in a hiring freeze if they were, and pay decreases? When do you think that we'll see everyone on a bit more of an even field, or back to a COVID pre-normal?
Oh, sure. So at least in my area of the business, which is the IT consulting part, we had a slowdown in our hiring, but not a pause.
Okay.
And that was sort of probably to at least sort of July, August timeframe. Now things have ramped back up and have accelerated,
Okay.
to make up for the fact that large transformation projects were put on hold or slowed down, or people postponed their decisions to greenlight projects until things were more certain.
Okay.
So yeah, we're actually seeing an acceleration now beyond what we've seen before to
Okay.
make things back up again.
So there's in fact a green light now on those projects and things that were on hold.
Yes, or that slowed down.
Sorry, yeah.
And we've seen that actually also change from our candidates' point of view. So middle of the year, candidates were very keen for stability.
Yep.
We had a number of people that were always contractors but wanted to switch to being permanent employees.
Okay.
And people were much more willing to take on a lower paid job, or any job really.
Yeah.
They weren't as sort of constricted by sort of choice. So whereas now that's actually reversed. We've gone back to it being a candidate's market.
Yep.
And they're pushing us to offer more competitive roles and salaries.
Okay. Interesting. What about you, Zach?
So from our side, again, fairly similar to yourself. Obviously, a lot of client projects did slow down or whatever else, but they realized they had to transform. So we actually hadn't had a dip at all. Our hiring has been going bonkers, if anything. So we've actually seen an influx or a growth in our business,
Yep.
particularly in Asia and here. So pay decreases didn't happen. We had a strategy whereby some of our existing contractors, they were able to go out and find other freelance work to kind of subset if they wanted to.
Okay.
So we gave them an option to do that. In terms of pay, we obviously put pauses on REM increases.
Yep.
But that's going to kick back off in January, so we're looking at actually going back to market and actually updating our salaries. Yeah.
Okay, so starting 2021.
Yeah,
we'll be
correct. So
back to that baseline.
been green lighted to do a salary increase, which is awesome.
Okay.
A lot of our people were very, they were very engaged throughout this process. They knew what was happening. They were flexible in terms of, you know, what they're doing. We had, obviously, being consulting, you have a bench, but these people were still training and learning, and there was other things to do rather than just being, you know,
Sitting at home.
yeah.
Trying to homeschool.
Yeah, correct. So pay decreases, not so much. Some of our leaders took a pay decrease just to help the business, and that's awesome. Right?
Yeah.
You know, seeing it from the top level. But realistically, our culture is money doesn't matter now. People are just absolutely looking for stability, and we're seeing a lot more permanent hires than we would typically.
Okay.
We are again hiring a lot more permanent people, and actually seeing an influx. I've got about 30 roles on at the moment.
Wow, amazing.
We're only 150 people, so.
Okay, so more of a shift to permanent than contract.
Yeah, so we rolled a lot of people to permanent that were again, you know, worried about
Nervous.
security and nervous.
Okay.
Contractors that were kind of in between gigs, they were allowed to go to other things, so it's giving them that flexibility.
Great. So we're kind of leading into another question I had actually, and it is around that, Zach. So there's been a lot of talk, or there was a lot of talk on platforms like LinkedIn, with companies being known for how they treated their staff during COVID-19. Has there been an internal discussion or thought process around managing that return to normal, and around that, you know, making sure that employees are feeling valued in that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had probably since the start of the sort of COVID lockdown, more regular meetings between our executives and our people managers. So not only so they know what we can do to offer support for all of our employees, but to help coach and manage them to give a really great experience to their employees ongoing. So we had lots of recommendations and support for doing virtual team meetings, sort of how we onboard people in a completely virtual sense, and that's sort of couriering their laptop to them, and doing setup over webinar rather than doing it face to face. It is an ongoing, evolving conversation that we're having. So we're having a lot of ask me anything type drop-in conversations, more so than formal sort of announcements. So that means actually we're evolving how we support people on like a daily basis rather than waiting for a big announcement from the top level executives. Everyone's got their own view, and gets to contribute that in a very organic way, which is great. So we're about to go back to wave 2 in most of our offices. So it's stopped. We've had essential workers come back, and then people come back part-time. And we're about to go into, fingers crossed, phase 2, where we can have more of the team there full-time in the office.
Excellent. That raises a good point, actually, the communication, doesn't it, between, it's kind of rethinking how you're going to do your internal comms, and those drop-in conversations sound really interesting. Cause,
it's gone more informal, and more consistently, more touch points more often, rather than big formal announcements.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. A little bit more real.
I think it's given us a way to actually focus on more employee value proposition rather than leaving that sort of to the side. And again, same as you, getting input from people rather than just saying, hey, we're HR, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
Right? You're getting valuable feedback from how the onboarding experience has been in this world right now, carrying the laptop, making sure it's set up, making sure they're onboarded. Even like, we're finding challenges with onboarding with clients because they're not set up to do it yet. So, or they just haven't thought about it, or it takes 3 weeks for a laptop to come out. You know, we're very much ordering laptops way before, you know, we've got stockpiles, make sure that we're ready to go, and these people get day one support, right? And constantly running meetings around EVP, constantly trying to I guess change our culture now. It's a very different culture.
So in terms of the EVP and the employment value proposition, do you see any new trends that are arising in that field besides work from home, which we've covered? Is there anything else that you think, and as you were saying, engaging that workforce a little bit more and getting that direct conversation going? Have you seen any other emerging trends?
Over to you.
Look, I think, you know, we're all fighting for the same talent realistically, and you know, these days, like I said, money is not so important anymore. It's the experience, right? And what can you do differently in this world versus what you could do before? And you know, that's again something that we're constantly working on. I don't think there's a lot of, I mean, the onboarding obviously yes, but getting people to come into the office once a week and meet their team, or at least setting it up for them so they don't have to worry about this stuff. And a good example is I had someone starting my team on Monday, and she's already met our whole leadership team, and you know, that would normally not happen for a month, 2 months, who knows? But actually getting involved, and they're getting very involved and actually helping and training and et cetera, getting this person up to speed. So I think we're onboarding people a lot quicker than we were before. And again, it's just because people are at home, they've got more time. And this goes back to your first question, but are we working more? Probably not. Are we doing the right thing? Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to say, so from an employee value proposition, we're noticing the fact that both clients and IBM are happy for people to work remotely. Means that we've got people who wouldn't apply for jobs because they think they'd have to move cities or put their kids in different schools and stuff, are now more open to doing jobs remotely, so we can actually attract a much wider talent market.
Opening up the pool.
Which is great, and that's also great for our clients, because if we're engaging the best talent across Australia, New Zealand, or the world, and they've got access to them, they now feel comfortable with remote working. That's a great value proposition to clients, not just to the employees.
We've seen productivity go skyrocket. We've also seen our engagement surveys go through the roof as well. So it means our managers are being more hands-on and actually dealing with their team a lot more. So it's quite interesting to see, like 12 months ago, and see it now, right? In terms of the overall experience of our employees, engagement's gone up. So
interesting. And just quickly, so it's interesting to me, the people that are coming back to the office, are they typically younger people that live alone, or?
Yeah, so I think that's back onto my first point. A lot of people that they don't have the families, they don't have this, you know, they're happy to come into the office and mingle because they want to see people. Right? Personally, I'm a people person. I like to see people. I get the Zoom fatigue, so that's why I'm in the office again.
Okay.
You know, other people are different.
But not 5 days a week?
No. Definitely not.
What about you, Zoe? Have you returned?
So I've returned part-time. We're actually finding it's actually a lot of parents that are coming back because they're appreciating being able to do work uninterrupted. So they are very much appreciating that more than any of our other staff. It's also where we've got teams that were onboarded during COVID and never met each other face to face. That we're seeing that they're planning for that and actually flying people to all actually meet face to face. No one is keen to go back to face full time, but having that physical interaction with people really makes a difference in terms of their ongoing relationships. So it's interesting now, those face to face meetings are so highly valued that people put more into planning and more effort into making the most of that face to face opportunity when it comes.
People are missing going out and socialising, right? And having team events and all this sort of stuff. So we recently went on a team event, and another good example would be Melbourne. They just came out of lockdown. First thing the managing partner in Melbourne did was, guys, we're going to get together. I'm going to go to Wombos, right?
Yeah.
It's bringing back that social thing.
Yeah. Making it more meaningful when you do connect, perhaps, rather than just the old meeting for a meeting's sake.
Correct. Yeah.
Last question on work from home. Do you think a help or hindrance in the quest for diversity?
In some ways, actually, it's made sure that all of our recruitment is consistently done. So where we might have interviewed over the phone for someone who wasn't based in Sydney and then interviewed Sydney people in person, now everyone's being done by Zoom or webinar. And so actually we're giving a consistent experience in terms of the interviewer and interviewee. So that's been an unexpected bonus. So actually I think we're making better decisions now around hiring.
Yeah, leveling that playing field's been great.
Yeah. And it is a very intimate way to get to know someone quite quickly, and you've got all those you have got those signals that you're reading face to face without anywhere else to go. So
and you almost have to pay attention to their face too, right?
It's been so good to get your thoughts, and I wish you all the best for 2021, and certainly sounds like things are heading up. I would like to know your final motto for going in and tackling 2021.
I think my motto is there's no longer, why we should always be asking how can we do something better or how can we do it differently. We've had such a year of change here that's sort of basically proven that we can adapt to whatever situation we're going through. So I'm hoping that sense of embracing change and adaptation continues in 2021 for our whole organisation as well as people as individuals.